Imagine losing your job overnight, not because of poor sales or factory problems, but because of a change in policy. That's exactly what happened when President Trump imposed a 25% tariff on imported auto parts. Stellantis, the company behind Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler, was hit hard. Almost immediately, production lines across North America ground to a halt. This wasn't just about economics. It was about the survival of some of America's most iconic car brands. The tariff, intended to protect U.S. industry, instead exposed how deeply we are tied to global supply chains. So what happens when protection becomes pressure? Immediate fallout, production halt. Trump's tariff policy hit Stellantis like a freight train, forcing the automaker to shut down major plants almost overnight. The fallout was swift and painful. Two major factories, one in Windsor, Canada, and another in Toluca, Mexico, closed their doors, putting nearly 7,000 workers out of work. In Windsor, 4,500 people who built Chrysler Pacifica and Voyager minivans were suddenly out of a job. In Toluca, 2,500 workers who built the Jeep Compass and Dodge Journey faced the same fate. The shockwaves didn't stop there. With cross-border supply chains frozen, 900 U.S. workers were also sidelined as American assembly lines ran out of critical parts. These aren't just numbers. These are families, communities, and careers thrown into chaos. People like A.J. King's aunt, a 15-year Stellantis employee, went from a stable income to sudden uncertainty. For towns built around auto manufacturing, it's not just about jobs. It's about identity, pride, and the fading promise of middle-class security. Brand impact, America's icons facing threat. Stellantis' brands are facing distinct crises that are hitting deep. Jeep, a symbol of American freedom, is struggling with its global production model. Tariffs on Mexican-built Compass models have driven up costs, making them harder to sell. Even the Wrangler and Grand Cherokee face production delays due to parts shortages from Canada and Mexico. Dodge, the face of American muscle, is also suffering. The Charger and Challenger models are being held back by rising steel and transmission costs, while the Durango SUV faces similar parts shortages. Ram trucks, critical to American businesses, are now struggling with tariffs that are disrupting production of the Ram 1500, which relies heavily on Mexican and Canadian parts. The result is delays, higher costs, and frustration for commercial buyers. Chrysler, once a symbol of American luxury, is the most vulnerable. With Pacifica production halted and the future of the Chrysler 300 uncertain, the brand risks fading if it can't adapt to market shifts caused by rising costs and supply chain issues. Before we dive further into the story, do us a quick favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to stay in the loop. It helps us bring this content to more viewers who care about how the world is shifting beneath our feet. Now, let's keep the momentum going and explore what's unfolding next. Economic ripple, industry financial crisis. The impact of tariffs isn't limited to factory shutdowns. It's hitting the entire auto industry's bottom line. Experts warn that the U.S. auto sector could see a massive $107.7 billion spike in production costs. Stellantis, already under pressure, is expected to absorb nearly $42 billion of that hit, along with other giants like Ford and GM. This means that every car, truck, or SUV that Stellantis builds is now significantly more expensive to produce. And those rising costs don't stop at the factory. Consumers are likely to feel it too, with vehicle prices expected to rise by $2,000 to $4,000 in just 1 year. For families already stretched thin by inflation, this creates a new affordability crisis. Buying a new car may be out of reach for many Americans, not because of luxury features, but because global supply chains and tariff wars have quietly pushed everyday transportation into premium territory. Sticker shock is becoming the new normal. Entry-level models like the Jeep Compass could soon top $30,000, while even basic versions of the Ram 1500 could top $50,000. These aren't just price tweaks, they're major shifts that risk turning dependable, working-class vehicles into luxury buys. That could alienate loyal customers and shrink Stellantis' market share in the long run. At the heart of the problem is Stellantis' global production model. What once seemed like a smart, cost-saving strategy spreading factories across North America has become a liability in the face of rising tariffs and protectionist trade policies. In theory, bringing production back to the US could fix things. But in reality, it would mean doubling labor costs, investing billions, and waiting years for new facilities to be built. For a company already feeling the squeeze, that's a tall order. And it leaves Stellantis with few good options in a tough new landscape. Strategic adjustment, innovation, and survival. Stellantis isn't throwing in the towel, it's pivoting. To stay competitive, each brand is adapting in its own way. Jeep is fast-tracking US-built electric vehicles like the Wagoneer S, which is slated to go on sale in 2025. Built domestically, it avoids some tariff headaches, but with a starting price north of $70,000, it risks alienating Jeep's traditional customer base. Dodge is leaning into its muscle car roots while stepping into the future. An electric version of the Charger is in the works to sit alongside gas-powered models, keeping loyal fans excited while cutting production costs. Ram is going all in on hybrid technology, aiming to strike a balance between fuel economy and performance, an appeal to both budget-conscious buyers and those watching their carbon footprint. As for Chrysler, it's making a comeback. With electric concepts like a revamped Pacifica, it hopes to reclaim space in American garages. But all these plans hinge on one question: will buyers bite? Cultural context, more than industry crisis. The impact of these tariffs goes beyond corporate balance sheets. It's deeply personal. The 7,000 workers displaced across Canada, Mexico, and the US are the heartbeat of these iconic brands. In Windsor, Chrysler wasn't just a factory, it was the backbone of the community, supporting schools, local businesses, and families for generations. In Tuca, Mexican workers took pride in building vehicles that symbolized American values. Now that bond has been severed by a change in policy. The tariffs are also fraying Stellantis' connection to its customers. Jeep fans frustrated by price hikes and shortages, Dodge enthusiasts watching their beloved muscle cars become too expensive, Ram buyers, mainly farmers and contractors, struggling to afford their work vehicles, and Chrysler families scrambling for alternatives all signal a loss of trust. Social media is abuzz with complaints about rising prices and shrinking availability. What were once accessible American brands now risk being seen as unattainable luxury, disconnected from their working-class roots. The Crossroads, American icons at risk. What does all this upheaval mean for the future of American transportation and manufacturing? Can Stellantis, along with the iconic brands it oversees, find a way forward that balances global economic pressures with the needs of the US market? It's not just about corporate survival, it's about preserving the heart of American culture, embodied by vehicles that have been part of road trips, drag races, construction jobs, and family vacations for generations. As Jeep faces supply chain issues, Dodge's muscle cars lose their edge, Ram trucks get pricier, and Chrysler's future grows uncertain. We're witnessing more than just an industry shakeup. We're at a potential cultural crossroads. Will these brands find a way to adapt through innovation and resilience as they have in the past? Or are we watching the end of an era? Only time will reveal whether these American icons can navigate the tariff storm ahead. Share your thoughts on how these changes are affecting your community in the comments below. If you're into trade shifts, industry twists, and behind-the-scenes power plays, hit subscribe and ring that bell. We're drawing new lines every week. Don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and feel free to explore the videos on your screen. There's a whole world of stories waiting.